Buster's New Friend is the second segment in the 13th episode of the very first season of Arthur. This is directed by Greg Bailey and this aired originally in October 1996. I was 4 years old at the time. I probably first saw this around 1999, maybe 2000, and I could remember the title of this episode, and yet I couldn't remember who Mike was, because Buster has been spending a lot of time with his new friend Mike. And Arthur gets very jealous. But it's not just that Arthur is jealous. Buster is also letting Arthur down. He was supposed to come over and watch Bionic Bunny. Maybe more importantly, he was supposed to help Arthur with the science project that they were tasked to do together. But Buster has been spending a lot of time with his new friend Mike, and he's been letting other people down as well. And there are various lessons in this one. And the main one, of course, is that if you are in the same position that Buster is, don't neglect your friends just because you have a new friend, and also think what it might feel like if you're constantly talking about how amazing your new friend is. Just think about how it may affect the other people, especially if you have a best friend or, a friend or two friends that you spend a lot of time with, and suddenly you seem to neglect that friendship and you don't treat it right. It can hurt people. This is obviously a very important message for children. I think most of us have been in this situation at one point, whether we are the Mike or the Buster or the Arthur. But even as adults, if there's somebody you spend a lot of time with and then all of a sudden something in your life changes and you neglect that relationship, maybe you need to nurture it a bit more. So regardless of what age you are, you can actually learn from this episode, or at least it can encourage you to maybe assess your behaviours in the present. But what I also love about this is that they keep a lot back about Mike. Buster, even though Buster's always talking about Mike, we don't know everything about him. And I think that it worked very well. And even though I could remember the title of this episode as I specified, I couldn't remember who Mike was. And I'm not going to say any more than that because I don't want to ruin it in case for whatever reason you have yet to see this episode. But while the episode brought a lot of nostalgia for me, I couldn't remember who Mike was. And I think that was something that was really great. I really liked what they did with the character. I think the treatment of the character was really great. And a really all-round effective episode. It's enjoyable. It's not predictable, which is quite unusual because Arthur episodes often are. At least for an adult mind watching it. For nostalgic purposes, I can't remember if I found it predictable when I was younger. And it's also really important, with a really strong message that pretty much anybody can benefit from. Buster's New Friend is my favourite segment of the 13th episode. So Long Spanky is decent as well, but I really like Buster's New Friend. Definitely a strong episode, or segment of the episode. And if you haven't seen it, or if you don't remember it, give it a watch or a rewatch. It's one that I think is really thoroughly enjoyable.